September the 11th was a dreadful event. 8,000 deaths in Afghanistan brought back none of those who died in the World Trade Center. Thousands more deaths in Iraq will not make things right. It will set off a spiral of conflict, of hate, of misery, of desperation that will fuel the wars, the conflict, the terrorism, the depression and the misery of future generations.
I mean, the one thing I find odd are people who can find the notion of regime change in Iraq somehow distasteful. Regime change in Iraq would be a wonderful thing. Right. That is not the purpose of our action. The purpose is to disarm Iraq of weapons of mass destruction. Now there is upon us a heavy responsibility to make the peace worth the war. We shall do so. We shall do so not in any spirit of elation, still less of triumphalism, but with a fixed and steady resolve that the cause was just, the victory right, and the future for us to make in a way that will stand the judgment of history.
That we question the strategy of our foreign policy. Why are we, a British Labour government with a very large parliamentary majority, a marvellous tradition of internationalism, so signed up to the ultra-right-wing George Bush project for a new American century agenda?
This is the right moment for us to stand firm with the United States of America in defeating terrorism wherever it is and delivering us safety from what I genuinely believe to be the security threat of the early 21st century. We return to the sober and ugly reality of what is happening through terrorism in Iraq, terrorism designed specifically to thwart the will of the international community because our forces are there with full United Nations authority.
He has paid a very high price for it, but the people of Iraq have paid a much higher price.
Responsibility, but not a regret for removing Saddam Hussein. I think he was
Be quiet, please.
I think that he was a monster. I believe he threatened not just the region, but the world. And in the circumstances that we faced then, but I think even if you look back now, it was better to deal with this threat, to deal with it, to remove him from office. And I do genuinely believe that the world is safer as a result.
500,000 people have died, billions of pounds have been spent. Another war is still going on in Afghanistan, and we have the Chilcot inquiry still going on. The point is that we need to know the truth.
Underestimated profoundly the forces that were at work in the region and that would take advantage of the change once you topple the regime, and that's the lesson.
And is it your job to apologise or Tony Blair's?
Well, Mr. Blair must speak for Mr. Blair. I know what I did in the run-up to the Iraq War. I know what opposition I mounted to the Iraq War, and I've seen the consequences of that Iraq War. What Mr. Blair does and what Chilcot says, we have to wait and see.